Hello viewers, welcome to another session of Learning Zoology. In this video, we are going to discuss the modes and methods of dosage compensation, which is in continuation with the earlier topic of sex determination. In order to better understand and have an in-depth knowledge, we need to discuss this topic in detail. And therefore, for easing up a bit, I have divided the whole session into 3 consecutive sections. In this section, we are going to deal with the process of X inactivation. The second part deals with the X hyperactivation, and in the third and the final section, we will be looking into the details of X hypoactivation along with the specific methods of dosage compensation as followed in plants, birds, reptiles, monotremes, etc. So let's begin. Dosage compensation. It is the process by which organisms equalize the expression of genes of the members of opposite sexes. Across species, different sexes are often characterized by different types and number of sex chromosomes or allosomes present. The process that neutralizes the large difference in gene dosage produced by different number of sex chromosomes among the sexes is known as dosage compensation. Sex chromosomes contain different numbers of genes, and to cope with this inequality, there are varied methods applied to equalize gene expression among the sexes across species. Replicating the actual gene is impossible, thus organisms instead equalize the expression from each gene. What are the various methods? Basically, there are 3 methods: inactivation of one X chromosome, hyperactivation of X chromosome, and hypoactivation of X chromosome. And there are other methods that are used by the plants, reptiles, birds and monotremes as well, which we will be discussing. Inactivation of X chromosome. In the species which follow the XX-XY sex determination system, random inactivation of any one of the X chromosome occurs, that we have already learned. To achieve the genetic balance between the homo and heterogametic sexes, this is done, and the examples are human and mice. The evidence of this mechanism being operative was discovered even before the scientists could understand the implications of the process of dosage compensation. In 1949, Barr and Bertram published data describing the presence of nucleolar satellites, which they observed in the mature somatic tissue of different female species. Further characterization of these satellites revealed that they were actually packages of condensed heterochromatin. Although even after a decade, the significance of this specialized DNA were not yet been characterized. The N-1 rule. In 1959, Ono proved that these satellite-like structures found exclusively in female cells were actually derived from female X chromosomes. He called them as Barr bodies after one of the investigators who originally documented their existence. His studies of Barr bodies in female mammals with multiple X chromosomes revealed that such females used Barr bodies to inactivate any one of their X chromosomes. Ono therefore described the N-1 rule to predict the number of Barr bodies in a female with N equals to the number of X chromosomes in their karyotype. For example, if a female has 2 X's, she will be having 1 Barr body. That means 2 minus 1 equals to 1. For n equals to 3, there will be 2. For n equals to 4, there will be 3. And this goes on. X inactivation and lionization. Simultaneously, Mary Lyon began investigating manipulation of X-linked traits that had phenotypically visible consequences. She was investigating particularly in mice, whose fur color is a trait intimately linked to the X chromosome. In connection to the work done by Ono and his colleagues, she eventually proved that either the maternal or paternal X chromosome is randomly inactivated in every cell of the female. This discovery easily explained the heterogeneous fur pattern she observed in her mosaic mice. This process is known as X inactivation and is sometimes referred to as lionization after her name. The discovery of lionization can be easily extrapolated to explain the mixed color patterns observed in the coat of tortoise shell cats, the calico cats. The fur patterns characteristics of these cats are found almost exclusively in females because only they randomly inactivate one X in every somatic hair cell. Thus, presuming that hair color determining genes are X-linked, it makes sense that whether the maternal or paternal X chromosome is inactivated in a particular hair cell can result in differential fur color expressions. Now, on your screen, you can see the mosaic fur color in mice, and here is the figure of a single nucleus where the bar body is clearly shown, and this is the diagram or figure of the female tortoiseshell cat. Compounding on Lyon's discoveries in 1962, Ernst Bilter and his study on female fibroblast cell lineages grown in culture had demonstrated the heritability of lionization of random X inactivation. He analyzed the differential expression of two existing viable alleles for the X-linked enzyme G6PD gene. It was observed that the inactivation of the gene was heritable across passage generations of the cell. This is just for your information. Now, what is the molecular basis of X inactivation? In a random X inactivation pattern of dosage compensation, the process is regulated across development in female mammals. It follows several concerted patterns throughout the development. At this beginning of the most female mammal development, both X chromosomes are initially expressed, but gradually they undergo epigenetic processes to eventually achieve random inactivation of any one of the X's. In germ cells, inactivated X chromosomes are then once again activated to ensure their expression in gametes produced by the female mammals. Thus, dosage compensation in mammals is largely achieved through the silencing of one of the two female X chromosomes via X inactivation. This process involves histone tail modifications via DNA methylation and acetylation patterns and reorganization of large-scale chromatin structures encoded by the XIST or ZIST as we call it, the gene. In spite of these extensive modifications, not all genes along the X chromosome are subjected to X inactivation. Active expression at some loci is required for homologous recombination with the pseudo-autosomal region of the Y chromosome during meiosis that we already have discussed. And additionally, 10 to 25% of human X chromosome genes and 3 to 7% of mouse X chromosome genes outside of the PARs show weak expression from the inactive X chromosome. Now, if you look at your screens, you can see case 1. Here we are observing the reactivation and inactivation of the X's during the meiosis and gamete formation in both sexes. What happens is, you can see in the spermatogonia, there is a single X inactive which is in bar body state. Now it goes reactivation into the sperm because it needs to undergo fertilization. In the oogonia, we can see that there is reactivation, one active X and another bar body. Now, during oocyte formation, the chromosome number is halved and because of meiosis, and the oocyte contains only one X chromosome. Now, we don't know what X chromosome has been coming from the mother. Now, after post-fertilization, there is a random inactivation of the X and a single bar body in case of normal females where two X's are present could be seen. Now, we don't know which X particularly is being inactivated, whether the X coming from the father or the mother. Now, if we look into the case 2, the inactivation process of this X chromosome, it is done by the XIST gene which is present on the X chromosome. Now, the particular X chromosome which is going to be inactivated, in that the XIST gene or the ZIST gets activated. It produces transcripts through transcription process, and it makes an RNA which is interfering RNA. This interfering RNA binds to the X chromosome that transcribes it, and it completely cages it. And because of that, the histones which were undergoing methylation and deacetylation, that attracts more chromosomal proteins for condensation, and in turn the X is inactivated finally. Now, after this section, we will be moving into the second part of the video. So there we will be focusing on X hyperactivation, and for that you need to stay tuned and happy learning.